After last week was cancelled for Formula Endurance, we're back once again here for RPL. It is round number 2 of Formula Endurance this time. Last time we ran a race in Formula Endurance, we were in Bahrain for the season opener, which saw HSR Gecko win the race over teammate TSR Cryptic, who returned to the RPL podium. Now, we're here for Silverstone, which was the season opener last season. And we're going to see how the drivers tackle this circuit. We have a lot to get over, so let's get going. Tyron Ironwolf is my co-commentator for tonight for Formula Endurance. Welcome along. Oh yeah, let's get going with things. Let's get talking about what needs to be spoken about. We have the FE calendar, which we're going to go over right now. We did not get to go over that in Bahrain because it was Zatsy and Benz who were the commentators there. So let's get over what the Formula Endurance calendar looks like for Season 2, assuming we run all the races. We have round number 1, which was ran already at Bahrain. Round 2, which was cancelled out Australia, so that moves everything up with now Silverstone this week. Next week, we're in France. Then we head to Austria and Portugal. Singapore after that, which will be the longest race ever, probably. Probably a proper 2-hour race rather than a 2-hour weekend of an event. Hungary is right after that. Then you have Spa followed up with it. And then Mexico and Texas to end off the Formula Endurance season, and it is currently raining on qualifying. Well, I wrote down pole times from this game cycle thus far, and I think that's going to be thrown out the window for sure. Running. Yes, it will be. At least we have a race for Formula Endurance tonight. We have not had one in the last week. That was supposed to be ran at Australia, the weekend of F1 in real life. We have a dry to wet race, Minico has just said, so this should be interesting. So this will be similar in a way to, I believe, Spa Tier 1 just a couple weeks ago, Titan, where drivers will start on different compounds, and it can either win you out very big or lose you out very big in terms of the rest of the weekend, because you either can choose to start on softs, believing the rain comes early, mediums because the rain comes at a decent time, or hards because the rain doesn't come for a while, but it is going to have a wet ending, as we have heard. Anything is very possible around Silverstone, though. We've seen some very great races here in RPL in terms of this game cycle, let alone in
I just
RPL
realized
as a
I
whole.
didn't click the box to include my audio.
Oh, nice one. Well, that happens every once in a while, right?
Yeah,
Either way.
I forget about it sometimes.
That's okay for now. Either way.
Thank you, Miniko, for bringing it up.
Either way, one thing I want to talk about before we have laps go on, Minico does retire serving a qualifying ban. We have the winners from the weekend already. Tier 2 saw JTK win for Mercedes, and yesterday saw Cookie win for Red Bull, pending the stewards report. We've got Jack Miles on a lap right now. We'll go on board with him in just a moment, but I want to mention who is racing tonight and on loan, or returning, or making debuts. We've got Pinarello, also known as Zatsy, joining back RPL. He left for about a week, and he does what he does. He comes back, and it's good to see him, though. Pinarello, part of the Alpine Academy now, racing for Formula Endurance tonight in the McLaren. Knights is racing for Ferrari as a Ferrari Academy reserve. Rapid Owen making his RPL debut. Pinarello's raced with him before, and some other drivers have too. OTL making his RPL debut as well. That's for AlphaTauri. Both guys got signed to those designated academies. Invade is racing Haas. He doesn't usually race Haas. Blonde is in Red Bull. We've seen that before. He was there at Brazil. Shanghai reserving in Aston Martin. Dom, 1 FE pole. He is reserving in Haas. Egg is in Mercedes. Minico is in Williams, and we should be getting, I believe, 1 or 2 more join us for tonight's event. Jack Miles is now heading to the final couple of corners here. Stowe corner, a very big corner where you can take a lot of lines and go very wide. Now, the final chicane here, which is obviously much slower on the wet, but it allows you to just go very flowing through this section and have the final corner be just fine enough to set the first time of the lads. 33.8 from Jack Miles, one of the home drivers here tonight. Let's see, we've got CRE Dom on a lap as well for Haas. He's been very impressive recently. He had a decent race yesterday up until the strategy mishap in Monza in Tier 1, reserving for Alfa Romeo. He is full-time for Haas in Tier 2. He raced for the first time in Tier 2 full-time in Austria, getting a top 10 qualifying spot and a P9 finish, then following it up with a really good result in France Tier 2. That was his best finish with 5th place. Dom has not had the best of laps here, but you're at least trying to warm things up on the wet and get around and figure out what you have. He is going to set a lap time that's faster than Invade. When Knights ends up crossing the line, he ends up going 3rd fastest, which ends up being KVS now at the top of the table. Let's see what the other McLaren can do. That's Pinarello, Jack's teammate. He is on a lap. We'll go on board with him then.
Yeah, Pinarello actually had to redo his lap because he invalidated somewhere earlier on the track, so he is trying at it again just to get back, just to get a new lap in as he comes out of the village, now heading down the Wellington Straight. Now normally DRS will be applied here, but unfortunately with the rain, no DRS is available. Here he goes into Luffield and Brooklands. And he's taking it nice and easy through there, easy on the throttle, down in the 3rd gear, getting back up the gears now, up to 7. Now I'm bringing it up to 8th gear, as he now heads to the cops corner, downshifts down to 6th gear because of the wet conditions, and he goes a little bit wide, but still keeps it in from being invalidated. Now through Maggots, Becks, and Chapel, easy on the downshifts. Getting him nice easy onto the throttle on the exit, keeps it in content, and he comes across through to Sector 2 to begin Sector 3 down the Hangar Straight.
Now as he goes on the Hangar Straight into Stowe, you want to get your braking just perfect for this section because this last sector can be make or break in your battles, but he has just stepped out of bounds, invalidated the lap time, and now is spinning! He was going to the pit lane, but he's missed the pit lane because of that, and now he's crashed on purpose. And Zatsi has wrecked it all.
I have no clue what the heck that was.
Pinarello doing a pirouette. That's what I would describe that as.
Well, I mean, I understand him spinning because when he just bolted suddenly to the pits and just completely lost it, but then just bashing it in a wall just made 0 sense.
Well, it also makes 0 sense because it's on stream, and you're going to get yourself in trouble for that because you're not supposed to crash on purpose in qualifying. If he was frustrated, I get it, but leave the wheel going into the pits and actually make the pit lane. That's the way I look at it. It's just a little silly. Shanghai has also retired from the session because he got promoted to Aston Martin before the lobby, after the lobby started, so he is serving a qualifying ban due to that. Blonde is now going down the old start finish straight into Cop's Corner, a very famous corner. tough to race side by side there, but usually we'll be looking at the drivers to see whether or not they make it flat out. Maggots and Beckett's now for the British driver at his home race in Red Bull. And here he comes, which would be DRS here down the Hanger Straight, but it's not. We've had some lunatics run across the track here in this section. So, no lunatics this time. Only one other car behind him. Now, Stowe corner. And we've also got as well just 3 more corners to navigate for Blonde. Where does the Red Bull driver put it? He has one previous race in this Red Bull in Formula Endurance. It was not a pole position then, but this time it's going to be provisional pole for the driver at his home race. 33.5.
Yeah, very great time by Blonde, and also the last person that was also managed to get a time, and Blonde just got a little too ambitious on the throttle and slipped and spun. But anyways, Kipu managed to get his lap in a 36.8. Meanwhile, at the back of that field is the newcomer OTL sitting at just around a 39. I mean, to be fair, the reason his time is so low was because I was briefly with him for a couple of seconds. He had no ERS available on the Wellington Straight.
Yeah, so Rapid Owen also in his RPL debut sets it 6th fastest, going a little bit faster on the time. He is behind teammate Egg by almost a second. However, we have 8 minutes for drivers to make improvements. I was on board with Jack Miles at the end of the Hamilton Straight. Now he's going down the old start-finish straight into Copse Corner. We've already seen a driver invalidate through this section, or at least get close to invalidating. Now let's find out what he does in Maggots and Beckett's, the driver with the most wins here in Formula Endurance and finished 2nd in the championship last season. This team, though, won the Constructors' Championship, and now he is just 1,000th off pole position currently as he's going down the Hanger Straight. And here he comes into the first set of corners of Sector 3. How does Jack set himself up the grid here and find more time in the last sector to defend pole position? You've got the chicane here. He touches the red part of that curb. You don't want to touch that area. That may have cost him a slight bit of time. I don't think it'll matter anyway. He's still going to improve, but by how much? He's going to go only on the front row. He had a good chance at pole, but he lost a little bit of time in that last sector. Those few hundredths may have come from touching that red curb, which can be deadly for a driver.
I'm just gonna be AFK from talking for a minute because I gotta get add Liam's EA and get him in. He's gonna be coming in for the Alpha.
Sounds good. I thought I had his EA, but it only allows me to invite him if he's shown online. So that's why I couldn't get him. Since you are trying to do that, I will get a lap on board with FRC Knights. You know, he just invalidated. We'll go to someone else then. I was just going to say, I do find it interesting here in RPL, the amount of drivers representing certain esports teams or certain leagues. We've got RSF1 being represented from Invade. We've got CRE. We've got FRC. With Scyther in Tier 1, we've got PSR. He was the champion of Formula Endurance last season. We've got a lot on board here, I'll tell you that right now. Either way, we're now on board with Kipu for Alpine. He just went past the Hamilton Straight. Abby, 2, and now 3. And here he comes into the last set of corners here of Sector 1. How does he give himself a chance here to improve in the first sector? Now, down the straight, just on the grass, dipping a wheel there. You don't want to do that. That may be part of where he loses 43 thousandths in the first sector. Now he's coming through what is Brooklands, Luffield, and now Woodcote for the Alpine driver. A home race for him as well. Some drivers looking to go to dry tires very soon here, but it is still raining, so maybe something that we'll see at the very end of the session. Propel drivers up the grid if the rain is dying down. However, Kipu just went through Copse Corner and ended up keeping it within track limits. Maggots and Beckett's is another tricky spot to keep it in track limits for the drivers. That will be a big thing for tonight. And in Tier 1 and other tiers around here this game cycle, we have seen a ton of drivers pick up track limit penalties due to them just exceeding the track limits pushing it too far, and now Kippu, he's been pushing it, but he's not pushing enough, though, because he's 6/10 down, and he's the only driver out on track. He is now boarding this lap to go to the pit lane, and I think a couple drivers are eyeing a run at soft tires here, because it does seem like it is going to be the crossover point anytime soon.
Yeah, Kippu currently sitting in the 9th place position, right behind his teammate Valkyrie, who's sitting in the 8th spot. I guess Liam isn't coming because he's not interested in doing 100% racing.
Well, I'll tell you right now, though, with Formula Endurance, it is the same amount of time of a weekend as Tier 1 is, Tier 2 when we've ran full qualifying. Much. The only difference is that an 100% race will only be longer in terms of those weekends if we have any wet running, and we do have a little bit of wet running, so it will be a little bit longer of a weekend for the drivers, as always, but that's okay. I like the 100% races here and there. I do notice, though, because we've now had 2 canceled races for Formula Endurance, that it does depend on the track for sure with these drivers to get a race going or to get interest. We do have a lot of people who do end up showing up last minute, similar to F2 in that sense, where drivers want to race on the day of the race, but beforehand, not as many want to. So really, this season, it could really be whoever's committed the most and ends up getting the results will be the champion. However, before we go to OTL's lap here for AlphaTauri, I just want to mention the 2 races that have been canceled for Formula Endurance so far. Miami being the one last season, Australia being the one this season. 2 tracks I feel like that are disliked by the drivers heavily.
Yeah, I mean, it can be liked by some, done not liked by others, but to be fair, if I wasn't tied down with specifics and heck, if I didn't have the restriction of not being loaned out because I'm a co, I would love to race around in an endurance race. I think it would be pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very nice to see because, you know, collision. 2 Academy teammates.
Looks like in, Aintree, I think it is.
KVS and Dom have come together, and it's resulted in one of the 2 getting a 5+ grid penalty there, which is very unfortunate because Dom is going to be having a chance for a top 5. KVS will be having a chance for pole position. We'll go on board with Knights because he's going to be the first
my
one.
bad. Aintree is turn 5. It's Village they collided in.
Oh. Well, Knights went past the Hamilton straight into Abbey, and then the left-hander at turn 2. Now to turn 3 he goes. And we've got turn 4 on hand here, which you can kind of take a very... never mind. He invalidated. That's going to be it from him, unless he can get back around and recharge in time to get a good enough lap in. We'll go on board with Invade then. I was just going to say, that corner that Invade went through now, turn 4, it's very interesting because you can take a very diamond and type line where you go right and then go sharp left to try to get some time in and get yourself up the board. And Invade's going to do just that if he completes this lap here. The problem for him, though, is that he better be recharged and ready to go for another one again, because although he's using battery right now and there's less than a minute remaining, he is improving by 6/10 in the first sector, and it has stopped raining, which is why you saw some drivers maybe think of the soft tires. But we've got OTL on track on dry tires, but it's not the soft or medium tires, it's the hard tires he is on. So now, with 45 seconds remaining, get your predictions in for pole position. This could be a session where it's the last man standing getting the best one possible here for lap times. Invade is up by a second, but Invade will be in one of the best spots possible, barring the traffic, because he will get another go at this. This will not be his only lap. Here we come. Checkered flag will be waving very soon. Invade will cross the line in just the nick of time, but he'll get another one too. What is the improvement like in terms of track evolution? The track is drying out, but Invade will go up to P5. If he were to stay there, that'd be a really good qualifying effort. But the question now becomes, Who improves and who improves when? Kipu invalidated. That's it from him. OTL missed it. OTL missed the flag. That's it from him. The next one to contend for pole position will be NRM KVS, and he's up by 5/10 in the first sector. Now to make it in the second sector, a full second, Titan.
Yeah, quite a bit of an improvement there. Not gonna lie. With KVS as he's coming down into the Vale chicane to finish things off for the final time. He's got the traffic of OTL in his way. Hopefully it's not going to hurt him any badly, but he does, and he's pole position for the time being.
And that's likely going to get beaten.
Upsets him.
That's likely going to get beaten. We have other drivers behind who are on laps improving, and they realize the track evolution is massive. Dom is up by 9/10. However, what is he going to do? It's second. It's the front row for him right now. How are the other drivers going to handle the heat of the track improving, and do they make any mistakes in the process that do not set them as high as Dom has gone? That's a second gap for pole position, but I'm sure that'll change in just a few moments. Here comes Knights across the line to go second. Next up is the McLaren of Jack. He'll go second. Next is the Mercedes. Can they take over? Invaders crashed. Invaders crashed, and that's it from him. Rapid Owen is sixth. Can Egg surprise the field and take pole position? The answer is no, but that's still a good lap. But Blonde couldn't take over. It is going to be Ferrari on pole position in Silverstone. Wow.
Also, as a bit of a
really
disclaimer, Invade did not crash. He went into the pits and retired at the pits dead on. But KVS does set the fastest lap, but because of the 5-place grid drop he has from colliding with his teammate, he'll be starting in 6th. So when the grid comes up, it'll be Jack starting first, Knight second, Blonde third, Egg 4, Dom 5, and KVS will be stuck in 6th.
Jack, Miles, KVS, whichever one gets awarded with the pole position. It's FE's 11th different pole sitter in the 13 races that have been ran all time in this tier. That's impressive. We got NRM, KVS, Jack, Knights, Blonde, Egg, who round out the fastest runners in the top 5. Dom is up there. Invade is up there. Impressive stuff from them. Owen on his debut ends up taking a top 10 spot. OTL missed the flag, maybe what could have been for him because we had Valk, Kipu, Invade all make mistakes there on their final laps, who maybe could have been beaten there at the end there because of how much the track had ramped up. No laps from Pinarello, Shanghai, and Minico.
I think we have a possible reason why Grandpa and Liam are having we're having issues trying to join the lobby. And I'm sorry, I'm going to be mentioning it because I just got this announcement from another league. Apparently, on the F123 servers, there is currently an issue regarding cross-platform lobbies.
I was just about to say that, because you know what I noticed? You were saying Grandpa and Liam were asking for invites. I'm showing you live on stream right now. Look who I all have added from cross-platform here on the RPL streamer account. All these... Oh, no. It's not even showing them. That's why. I was just about to say, I was about to show everybody who I have added, but they're not even showing anybody from cross-platform. So a very rare one where we have no PC drivers in the race. All the drivers in here are on Xbox. But a race in Silverstone that's going to see a mixed condition race is about to get underway. The pit stop loss around here, 28 seconds. ERS gain back 14%. We can have a ton of different strategies considering that we have wet running coming later on. Here we go. Here come the 5 red lights. For the last time in March in RPL, they march to turn 1 with the lights out. Away we go. Jack Miles on pole position, getting away well. And Knights having a brilliant start to get ahead and stay ahead of Blonde here. And KVS, who had that 5-place grid penalty, taking advantage of both Haas drivers. Blonde around the outside, gonna have a go. He's gonna now have to defend from Egg for turn 4, while he is side by side with KVS, getting the places up on the grid, up to P4 already. Here's the Haas drivers drivers battling it out behind. Owen is giving Dom some threatening. Pinarello up some places. That's impressive from him. He needed that after starting at the very back. And now he's going to have a go at Dom and Owen. Here's the battle for P7 now. Around the outside. Pinarello, can the Dutch driver do it? The long way around. He wiggles in the process, and that prevents him from making an overtake. But now for the lead, we got a 2/10 gap and a cop's corner. It's going to get tight.
Ooh, that was a little close, but Pinarello manages to get just enough speed to get ahead of Dom to put himself in 8th place. But yeah, fair credit to KVS. Starting back in 6th, he's already gained at least 2 positions, gaining up to get back into the 4th. He would have loved to start in the pole position, but right now Jack currently has it as Knights is battling in to go for it. Blonde following suit.
Jack.
And Blonde doesn't happen, and Jack falls down to 3rd.
Yeah, that is very interesting that both the Red Bull with the straight line speed and the Ferrari with the overtake button being absolutely obliterated just muscled past Jack on the straight, snatching P1 and P2. Knights leads the first lap of the race, and the whole field all the way to 12th is within DRS. So this is going to be a very, very interesting race. With the amount of drivers currently in contention, we've got a battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Here's Pinarello trying to pick off the pieces. Now he's going around the outside, and the contact model just shows how awesome it is because the slight contact of Owen and Pinarello caused Pinarello to fall further behind than he needed to, and now KVS snatching 3rd on Jack. Jack has really fell back on the hard tires on the start.
Yeah, I mean, given that it is Silverstone, it is a very tricky track in regards to the wear and warming up of the tires. So Jack's hard compound tires is probably not fired up to snuff. On the other end of the spectrum, you have Invade and Pinarello, who are on the soft tires. Yes, they have a good amount. They can get those tires fired up kind of quick. But to be fair, the soft tires and Silverstone, they are known to possibly degrading way too quick.
Eggles now is going to take the next place on Jack. Jack has fallen down from P1 to P5. Pinarello, though, is our biggest gainer. 6 places. He's just taken over 6th place on Invade, making the overtake there. And now the question I have here is who's our biggest loser? It looks to be Jack and Dom, down 4 places. Invade hops the curb, gets all out of shape there at the final chicane. Rapid Owen now looks to take advantage on the Hamilton straight. They're side by side, and the car that Lewis Hamilton races on the Hamilton straight gets ahead of Invade.
Very, very ambitious maneuver by Rapid Owen to get past Invade. He does do it really well, and Invade showing a bit of a displeasure by giving him a little tap in the loop. See if he can try to rattle Owen's cage a little bit, but he's
second place
as KVS. Yes. Woo, baby.
Wow, that got very hairy. Blonde almost got forced out right there, and he's still going to have the inside line here for the exit of the corner. Now, KVS is defending by turning on the jets, using the battery, and Blonde is still all over the back of him. But that was a massive, massive defense maneuver from Blonde right there, and KVS in that battle to go wheel to wheel into Sector 2 with just inches separating them. And now, although it's a Ferrari 1-2, KVS and Knights obliterating their battery compared to Blonde, and Pinarello is our first driver to pick up a track limit penalty, just followed by OTL. And for the lead, we do not have a move, but both Ferraris are able to be in contention for the race lead, while the gap from P5 to P6 is 1.6. Those are our 2 different trains here. P6 to P12 and P1 to P5.
Yeah, very, very fun that P1 to P5 angle is, and just seeing how close together some of these guys are. I was just on board with Jack getting a nice bump, basically front wing camera of the cars ahead. Hopefully Jack's hard tires are fired up and ready to go, because he's got some work. He's got some work to do to try to regain some of the positions that he wound up losing earlier.
Are we going to see a Ferrari swap anytime soon? The answer is no. We see the gap to the leader here. Everybody in this field still within contention except for OTL, who's not having the best of races as of the current moment. He's fell back all the way behind Shanghai by almost 5 seconds, and I just caught a little snap from Pinarello, which got him out of shape. But I must mention the top 4 on mediums. Jack, the outlier, on hards. Pinarello and Invade on softs. And I just want to mention, Invade had a really good qualifying here. It always seems like in RPL, there's always that one or two drivers in backmarker cars who end up outperforming their car. Invade needed it the most, and now his Academy teammates are about to have a swap for the race lead. Knights has KVS alongside, and KVS takes over the lead of the race. The two other teammates from Ferrari Academy, Haas, have Dom and Invade swap it around. Dom is up to 8th, and now Spinner, Pinarello into the wall, and he destroys his front wing. Virtual safety car deployed.
Well, given his positioning, I have a feeling I know what happened. He came out of Stowe, got a little ambitious on that throttle. The tires was on the curb, and off and around he went. I've seen it happen. I've actually done it once before.
We now have him pitting from what is now last place on soft tires, getting a new front wing. Will he go to other soft tires? No, he'll go to mediums and get that front wing changed. So, as a driver here, you got to be careful under the virtual safety car not to go over your delta. Don't speed. Don't have any issues, because this is a long race. We saw in the first ever race here, drivers end up making mistakes and it costing them dearly. And this was a big factor in this race too last season in the season opener. Big DRS trains. You got to be in that battle for the lead. Last season, it was the top 4 throughout the whole race. This season so far, in the first 5 laps, it's the top 5 in contention.
Yeah, it'll be quite interesting to say the least. And let's say we're back underway, and Jack is still currently trying to chase down the front 4. But one thing I'd also noticed is that Egg and Blonde are starting to feel the pull away from the Ferraris.
But the thing with the Ferraris is that their tire wear is absolutely atrocious. They'll start to realize it in the coming laps here and later on. Also, with the tire wear being a factor, here's another factor in this race: the ERS management. Blonde, Egg, Jack, all above 65%, where both Ferraris, they're below halfway on that tank. They cannot afford this in the race lead when they're getting pressurized later on.
Yeah, it is true that ERS is a very tricky thing, trying to harvest it back after deploying it, trying to either defend, overtake, or even try to pull away from your competitors. Anything can happen at this point, but currently right now, the two Ferraris are currently in their own element right now, just hanging on to that 1 and 2, with Blonde trying to catch up behind.
It's very interesting to watch these backmarker drivers here try to get past Owen for P6 on the road. We've got Dom in the train, Invade in the train, Valk and Kipu, both Alpine teammates as well. Minico racing for Williams this time tonight. This will be interesting to see how those drivers tackle that second train now for what is P6. And they have a larger gap behind Jack, so it shall be interesting. We've got a battle for the lead brewing between KVS and Knights. I don't think Knights is going to go for it, but the thing with Knights is that he's got poor battery management. He's below 25%, where his teammate is only just under halfway, so he's keeping his ERS management very good. Blonde and Egg just above halfway, and Jack Miles used it a lot in that last lap, I guess, to try to gain some time back up to the car in front of Egg. He is down to 33%, whereas Dom now has a car in between him and his teammate. That is Rapid Owen he made the overtake on.
Yeah, yes indeed. Dom overtook Owen just before the braking zone of Stowe, and he is up into 6th place. I will say honestly, I want to give fair credit to the Haas team. They are holding their own pretty strongly right now. Both of them in the points. One of them, they're both having to deal with a debuting Mercedes, but I will say at the moment, with the debuting Owen, for his first time for endurance, he's not doing too bad at this moment, sitting in that P7 spot.
I just had a look at fastest laps for you guys wondering in the Twitch chat. However, Those Haas drivers need a good result here in Formula Endurance. I was going through each team's best finish. Haas got theirs in Portugal last season with a 6th place. They could be improving on that. And now Ferrari are improving on what car they want in front to lead this race. It's Knights reclaiming that top spot, though. Further on back.
Yeah, they may be switching it up. They may be switching it up as Owen repays the favor to Dom, takes the position back at Stowe. But to be fair, with the Ferrari switching again, I'm not sure if that's looking to be a wise choice. Meanwhile, Minico just overtook Kippu to get into the points in the Vale chicane.
That's an unusual place to go side by side and actually not lose time to the cars in front, but Minico has pulled it off. Fair play to him. We'll have to look back after the race and see how that overtake got done. I agree with you about the Ferraris here. You have the car in front not having a lot of battery, and I guess KVS is trying to defend nobody right there on the far left side of the track. Oh, yellow flag. That is for Pinarello again, off. I don't agree with that because you've got.
I'm not sure what in the world he's doing. He just went off completely. He just went off completely and
that's it.
Way off onto the left side.
We've lost our first driver. I was just going to say with the Ferraris, I don't think I agree with this because you have the driver in front with little to no battery. It would make more sense to have your driver out in front with more battery. Therefore, the driver behind in 2nd place isn't the one giving you pressure, and then 3rd place won't have a chance to overtake because that's what we're about to see here. Here goes KVS reclaiming the top spot. Does Blonde have a go too? No. He does keep Blonde at bay. However, KVS did go a little wide, and now here's the advantage for Knights to try to take the race lead back. He can't do it. Invade made a mistake on the straight. I don't know what happened to him, but Minico and Valkyrie are going side by side now into the chicane, side by side with Valkyrie on the inside line. Minico the inside line for the next corner. Do they keep it tight? Do they race close quarter? Yes, they do, and they race clean with that. Valkyrie having to slide, having to back off of trying to any maneuver, and now side by side to turn 1, invading Hippu. They're almost coming together. Invade onto the AstroTurf and stays ahead. However, should he stay ahead even though he went off?
Kippu was making the attack. I caught it from the back cam of Valkyrie. Kippu went for the attack on the inside. The two came together, and even though Invade did go off, as Valkyrie goes down the inside against Minico to reclaim the 8th place spot. Looks like Coach trying to fight back around the outside, but just can't seem to get the right amount of speed to make the shot happen.
Up and under with the switchback.
He's going back at it again.
Here we go. Another overtake from the Canadian. He's going to back off for Cop's corner with a smart choice there not to go side by side.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyways, yeah, so when Kippu and Invade came together and made contact, Invade, yes, he did go off just went off track, but Invade was still ahead of Kippu when it happened, so I think Invade will be fine at this present time. Kippu clears Invade to get himself into the points, and Valk loses the position back to Minico.
A lot of trading going on for these positions here all over the race grid on the field. I found out why Pinarello retired from the event. He said his place seat is falling apart. He needs a new one. He did mention that to me prior to the race when I hopped on the streamer account. I was on my regular account. He was in a party with me. He saw it was joinable. He mentioned that this was something he may have needed to retire over, and that may be why he is struggling so much. I can understand, his issues with the play seat and, having issues with track limits because of that and crashing. However, I don't think he's going to avoid getting in trouble from the stewards from his incident in qualifying.
Well, I mean, to be fair, there is a section in the rule book that if he was indeed having basically having equipment malfunctions equipment malfunctions or equipment issues, as Blonde going for a shot against Knights, And
he might even take the race lead.
Stop going for it. Woo, baby.
Wow, that would have been very antsy and ballsy to try to take the race lead, but he went for it, and he's going to still go for second place as he almost fell down to third, and now he's back down to third. Everybody is where they left off before the straight back there. Now on the Hamilton straight, is he going to have a go? No. Wow. Sorry, yeah, you're right about that. The equipment rule.
Those two battling it together. Look who it brings up behind them. It brings Jack and Egg much closer.
Yeah, they were about, what, 5 tenths back, 6 tenths back? They are much closer. And it gives Jack Miles...
almost at risk of falling out of DRS at one point.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this gives Jack Miles a better chance to conserve battery. And here we go. Second place on the cards for Blonde. Does he go for the lead again here, having the door wide open? The door is wide open for second place to take, and he does take that. Knights was trying to do a cutback and at least have a go around the outside, which he now makes the inside. However, he can't do it. Blonde clears Knights for second place, and his battle is now with the race leader, KVS. Yeah, you're right about the equipment rule, Titan. That is something that has been there, I think, because one of my old leagues had it, and Owen, the rulebook merchant, noticed that and took full advantage of that rule. If a driver's racing with broken equipment, that more goes with a broken controller or a wheel. I don't think the playset is anything to do with that too much, but we'll have to find out. We'll have to find out for the race lead. If Blonde can take this by Stowe, he does. Blonde up to P1. He's our 4th different leader today in Silverstone with 11 laps about to be complete.
Yeah, what a shot over by Blonde, getting past both Ferraris in the span of a lap. And looks like Knights just had a little bit of a snap around at the club corner, trying to keep it in control. But Blonde up into the lead, and he is probably going to be on fire to keep pulling away from these two, because currently Blonde sitting at 83% ERS, while KVS is just sitting at 50.
Yeah, he's above halfway this time, which is much better, but he'll have to rely on the pit stops in order to conserve some battery. We heard there was rain coming toward the end of the race. Let's see what the cloud cover looks like. It was completely cloudless, I'll call it. That's a new word that we're using, cloudless. It was completely cloudless. No overcastness or no clouds at all in the sky before the race had started. Now there's some cloud cover on lap 12. So I do expect, if this is consistent with how the weather is approaching, we should be seeing obviously the rain past halfway, but more likely in the last third of this race. You know, if we split this race into thirds, it'll probably be around lap 35, 36. So that's exactly why someone like Jack Miles, who's just conserving things right here, has gone onto the hard tires, because he knows he can extend this race a long, long while. And if the rain is coming, it's surely going to be later on, not as early as these guys will be on the medium tires for Invade. Again, struggling on track limit penalties here. He's now up to 6 seconds on the board with penalties. But I was just going to mention here just about a lap ago, spot on from Blonde to make the moves at the right time, Titan. He went for a move on one Ferrari and then tried to go for both Ferraris at the same time and went back down to third. And then the next lap after that, he had to go again and took second place and then took first place. But he did that separately this time rather than doing it at the same time, and that worked out perfect to take the race lead.
Yeah, very true indeed. And looks like KVS is just still trying to put some major pressure onto Blonde. But Blonde, none the wiser, just keeping it nice and chill, that to be fair. And looks like we have a fight here between Rapid Owen and Dom. Dom down the inside in the left field, trying gets it past in 6th place. And as he exit out of Brooklands, Rapid Owen is now sitting in the 7th place spot.
Well, I must say, OTL has now picked up a 3-second time penalty. If you're liking the racing here in RPL, make sure you hit the follow button on the Twitch and go over to our YouTube. It's the same exact name for you to hit subscribe, and you will see some more racing next week here in RPL. First in Tier 2 at Monza, then at Singapore for F1, and after that, Formula Endurance will be in France. So, lots of racing to look forward to. We've got 6th place we're looking forward to in a little bit that I think Dom will be under pressure for later on. And the two Alpines have a little switch. It's Kipu leading the charge for P9. Wow. Man.
Yeah, very true indeed. As he mentioned it, yeah, with the RPL YouTube, not only you'll be able to catch you'll be able to catch some of the races that
Oh,
you have seen on for our racing in Tier 1, Tier 2, and Endurance. But you can also catch past races that have happened in the season. If you like with Tier 1 Season 10, if you missed any of the races prior, check out the RPL Formula 1 YouTube. You'll be caught up with all the racing for that season and past seasons as well. It's not just that. We have some funny videos like RPL out of context, RPL slander, but in even more seriousness, a couple of weeks ago we just released our first documentary on the Red Bull Tier 1 driver of Reese.
and I'm working on the one with Cookie now because I'm pretty sure he can win the championship in 2 weeks' time here in RPL Tier 1. Invade is our second DNF of the race, and now we've got a battle brewing for the race lead. KVS is on the move, and here he goes before Stowe down the inside, and he'll reclaim the top spot once again. Does Blonde have a go now toward the final chicane? He has a chance to make something magical, but he can't do it in the braking zone. He's going to be smart and back off and wait again. Both Alpines swap in the background, and Rapid Owen is up to 6th place over Dom now. So best of the rest currently, and 11 seconds behind the teammate.
Yeah, just noticing that literally the top 5 is just very close and snug together, and then there is a gap between 6 to the last points positions.
Oh my God,
I
Blonde.
mean, currently the 2 Alpines are just chilling together, and looks like we got another one. Shanghai calling it.
I was just gonna note about Blonde. Look at his battery in comparison to both Ferraris. He's got more battery than both of them combined for just a split second there. Born in Shanghai
I
is our
just
third
noticed
retardant.
that. Yes.
Oh my God. You know how Mercedes
I
had
mean,
doubled...
would that go to show on how probably overpowered that the Red Bull cars are right now?
Oh, in terms of the straight line speed, it's an absolutely incredible. And I think Blonde
I mean, literally,
used a
the
bit of
Red
battery
Bull
there.
is so overpowered that in Tier 2, there's been a couple people in Tier 2 are actually thinking to boot out Red Bull and not have them participate in Tier 2.
I don't feel like F1.5, you know?
Yeah, we did that for about 4 races, and then we had to add them back.
Hey, if we have a race where it's 18 drivers in the field, you know, that wouldn't be a bad option, because Tier 2 has had some attendance issues up until the recent 2 races where we've gained it back. 19 were interested in racing Austria, but after the restarts it became 17, and then France just 2 days ago was 19 once again. So Tier 2 is getting its attendance back up, and Kippo is getting himself back up to 9th place as we speak. Yeah, I was just going to say, now you could see that Blonde has more battery than both Ferraris combined. He's using some battery to try to catch back up for a split second, and it does show how powerful the Red Bull is. You know, it is realistic performance, so we're going to have some cars who have some dull things about them, and then we're going to have some cars who have some really good things about them and advantages to them. However, I want to mention about the Red Bull. I find it interesting because of how much straight line speed they have in comparison to other cars, and just how much of a car merchant it is for some of these guys in the car. It's quite interesting because Mercedes in China 12 years ago had double DRS. It's like Red Bull have double battery consumption with what it is like against the Ferraris currently. It's just funny how that works. Now, Blonde is trying to regain P1, and it's on KVS, side by side, down the straight, and Blonde reclaims the top spot.
Yeah, and a bit further back, and I cannot believe I'm saying it, but I think something happened to Dom, because right at the start of Maggots and Beckett's, Minico overtook Dom for 7th.
Well, not only that, he lost a place to Minico and Owen, and got himself in now what was a 2-car train, but now a 3-car train. So Minico caught up, and he's about to get Williams their best finish in Formula Endurance if he can take over P6. Minico has done that for teams now twice if he does it with Williams. He did it with AlphaTauri taking P4, and it would be P6 Williams best finish. They already have a best finish of P7. KVS was having a sneak at the lead, but could not sneak the peak to perfection. I'm going to have a run through on the last 3 runners quickly before any overtakes. OTL for AlphaTauri is making his RPL debut today. He has had a very lonely race, but he can still be in this race if there is a safety car that comes out. He is signed as a full-time reserve until the end of Tier 1 Season 10 for the Red Bull Academy. Both Alpine drivers are full-time in Tier 2, maybe not in that car, but in RPL as a whole for this academy. So, very interesting how Kippo and Valk race Formula Endurance to take full advantage of their opportunities and try to better themselves for other tiers. Valkyrie has 1 Tier 2 podium to her credit, coming 2 seasons ago, and 3 F2 wins to her credit. So she switched over from the Merc Academy to the Alpine Academy to try to find something, and she has found a very racy teammate today with Kippu to battle it out for her, but she's also found the penalty club as well with that. Kippu, 2 P4s and 2 P5s in Tier 2. He came up short in his Alpine Academy debut of a podium not too long ago in Japan, and he has some F2 podiums to his credit, but he's still looking for a first Tier 2 podium. And now for the lead, KVS. We've talked about drivers with their credits. KVS already has a win in this tier, and he's looking to get win number 2. If he can just be in control of this race, he has a chance for that, but he can't get it.
Yeah, very true. Now back to what I was saying just a little bit ago about like how broken and overpowered the Red Bulls are. In one of our other divisions, Tier 2, I've also noticed that pretty much mostly all of the constructors that was won in Tier 2 was done by Red Bull, but also could be depending on the driver, because sometimes you have drivers that are just insanely busted when it comes to the Red Bull cars. I mean, currently in Tier 1 you have Cookie, that's just pretty much becoming 2020 Lewis Hamilton at this point.
Uncracked to your point.
Yep, that too.
Hold on. 6th place. Miniko holds it. Rapid Owen wants it, and he takes it. And Miniko is still on the attack on the inside of the Academy teammate, but no longer he will have that be the case on the inside. He concedes the place. I was just going to mention, Titan, look at KVS's battery in comparison to earlier. He's almost on level playing ground to Blonde. He saved up and conserved that battery. He realized that his tire wear has been awful and just going through the roof. So now he needs to save battery if he wants to be in contention here. He is not going to claim the lead this lap, but he'll have a chance later on. I was just having a go through the field with 9th, 10th, and 11th place. How about you talk about... hold on, actually. I'll pause for a moment. We might have a move here. Miniko. Gaining, not gonna go through. I was just gonna say, how about you talk about Dom here, Titan, for just a split second. He has had a really good showing in Tier 2 throughout his first 2 races, and he's had some good background on FE before too.
Yeah, and I was also wondering how well he was doing in how well he was doing in Tier 1 as well yesterday. For Dom, he was actually doing pretty decent, but I mean, I had to catch back up on the Tier 2 part. But yeah, Dom is actually showing some really good strides so far. But looks like KVS has decided to go in first.
Miniko slingshotting for P6. He'll claim the place for now. KVS is the first one to blink of the front runners. And to finish the point on Dom, I want to mention this. Dom has had 2 Tier 2 points finishes in his first full-time outings for Tier 2. Also back in Imola, when he made his Tier 2 debut, it was ruled that he could not go in a top car due to his incredible pace. And you can just see that already. Imola in the wet race for Tier 2, Dom was having a good showing for AlphaTauri, trying to outperform the car, but it did not end up all going right. He finished P12 in his first Tier 2 race. However, due to his pace, he can't be on top cars, and that's exactly why, from what we've seen, at least in Tier 2 and FE. FE, he claimed a pole position earlier last season and helped his teammate Zach win a race. He played the tactical game, holding up Scyther, and when his teammate got a 3-second penalty, once again, Scyther already had a 3-second penalty to his name, I believe. Dom did the right thing, playing the team game and holding him up. He was a part of the Red Bull Academy when he started out, but now he's a part of the Ferrari Academy full-time, and he is taking full advantage of his opportunities full-time in Tier 2 and ending up with some points finishes first off, and got Haas back in the top 5. We have the leaders blinking. Knights, who was 2 seconds back, losing a ton of time, is now finally into the pits, and here's a move once again. It's now 5th place because of the pit stops being made. Rapid Owen up a place. So yeah, Dom has taken advantage of his opportunities. He also took advantage yesterday of almost getting into Q3 for Alfa Romeo. He was gonna finish in the top 10 if he didn't make the wrong strategy call. He went on the softs, maybe waiting for a safety car, and finished back outside the points with Reese because of that. The 2 Alpines swapped, and those Alpines who swapped will be in front of Knights.
Yeah, absolutely. And also bear in mind with Knights, his ERS availability was just very, very low. It was literally hanging around 8% or less. Now it is back up to around 25%, but that is not that good. Because I mean, literally with his ERS being that low and even deploying it to try to keep Egg back, Egg was just chilling. And I mean, if Knights didn't come in, I think Egg would have overtaken him probably within the next lap.
I'm going to do one more driver before pit stops continue here through the field. Minico, he had the best finish for AlphaTauri in Formula Endurance in Texas with a P4. His first Tier 1 podium came a couple weeks ago in Spa after multiple P4 finishes, and he's one of those drivers who are in Tier 1 who never raced Tier 2. And in Formula Endurance last season in this race, he was in contention for the race win, but now he's in contention for P4 on track, which will become P6 later on with the pit stop cycling out.
Absolutely. Minico really showing his stride in regards to his performances of the cars. I mean, he's really showing his stride in that Williams car here in FE. And then next game, he is leaving Mercedes Academy and is going to be coming to Alpine Academy to race in McLaren.
That'll be an interesting upgrade for him, though, for next game in terms of performance, because right now at the Mercedes Academy, I feel he has been one of the drivers who can get the most out of cars. We've seen that when he was on loan for AlphaTauri in Texas. That's the only academy, Red Bull Academy, that he's not raced for full-time. KVS has now got 2 places here. Yellow flags. That's for the lap car of OTL, getting blue flags. But either way, with Minico, he seems like he can outperform each car. You know, he got Haas, their best qualifying spot, equaled in Tier 1 with a P4 in Baku earlier this season when he was racing for the Ferrari Academy. He got the call up to Ferrari not too long ago as well, earlier in the Tier 1 season. You know, he's not raced Tier 2 at all, and in terms of our drivers, you know, it's impressive that he has not got a chance in a top team just yet, but that McLaren seat for next season may just be the thing he needs to challenge someone like Cookie on a constant basis, rather than trying to do it in the Mercedes. As for tonight, he's in the Williams for Formula Endurance. He has raced this car before. He did so in Hungary last season and Singapore, if you remember, outperforming the car. Both Alpines have a swaparoo again. The only thing I want to mention about Minico to end off this run through the field with him is that he became the first Tier 1 driver, the first Canadian driver to be on the Tier 1 podium. The only other driver who's done that recently for a specific nation is NRM KVS for Finland, getting them on the podium for the first time in Tier 1. Excuse me, I'm jumbling all over my words because I noticed Jack Miles overtook Egg and Valk is into the pits.
Valk making her pit stop and Jack overtaking Egg, get into the braking zone of Luffield. So now Egg is down, currently sitting in the 3rd place spot, and they got a bit of a distance to the leader of Blonde, who's currently 5.2 seconds clear of them right now. That's something I'm trying to think about. Has Blonde won in FE yet?
Blonde has not won in FE yet, but he does have one podium to his credit that comes from Brazil.
Huh. Well, that means if Blonde
Whoa!
wins in FE tonight, he is. I mean, he's gonna join
Whoa!
a
Again!
couple of drivers to have a win in every single Tier 1 division, and that's including Tier 1, Tier 2, and not the now defunct F2. Because uh, Blonde, wait, does Blonde have a win in Tier 1 yet?
No, he doesn't.
I
He
think
just
he
has a
does.
podium. It would be a podium in the tiers, though, at least.
Oh, okay.
NRM KVS made some massive, massive dummies on Minico, Owen, and Dom right there. Just switching it back from left to right, weaving and bobbing, and making the most of that to try to pull away from teammate Knights. Knights is on the hard tires, interestingly enough, and NRM KVS is on the mediums. Those clouds are getting a little bit more darker and a little bit more frequent up in the sky, so I don't know why Knights would have went for the hard tires unless he feels that he could not end up being on the mediums, though, from that. I mean, he started on the mediums. He went to the hards. KVS started on the mediums. He went to the mediums, which I think is the more valuable option, unless the rain is not enough for inters, and then he has to at least make a pit stop onto a different compound because of that. That's what I find the tough part here. I think that's what Knights tried to do, but it depends on if the game declared this a wet race. If the game declared this a wet race, specifically, then what KVS has done here, even if it's not enough for wet tires or inter tires, that's smart, because he can go medium and pull it off. However, Minico has been just hit with a 5-second time penalty for speeding in the pits, and if it is not declared a wet race, then Knights is the one in favor of something like that, going to different compounds. OTL with a penalty, and Minico has been costed with that 5-second for sure.
Yeah, that is going to hurt him as well. But on a different note, speaking of someone hurting, OTL, who is currently the only car a lap down so far in this race, he's already up to 15 seconds for track limit penalties, which means, I mean, in regards to track limit warnings, he's got, well, pretty much a grand total of 15 on him.
That is insane.
Yeah, that's nuts. Especially not even being halfway through.
Yeah, I was just going to say, we've got Minico and Owen down the straight trying to battle as well here for P6. Our race leader, Blonde, is now in. You mentioned Blonde having a win in Tier 1. His only podium comes from Monaco Tier 1 last season. He was one of the new podium sitters in that season. Jack is in as well to join the fun. But I think the interesting thing for Jack, in comparison to Blonde and Egg here in this situation, they're going for different tires, but Jack started on the hards here and is going to have the tire advantage here on the mediums. So, I mean, I'm really interested to see if KVS has timed this perfect, though, because if it's enough for inters, he's actually in the better spot than Jack. But if you have to change compounds because of what the race director has declared this of a race, in terms of it being a dry event or a wet race, if they declare it a wet race, then it's people like KVS who are not in a good position, but it's people like Jack and even Blonde and Knights who will be in the advantage area if it's declared a dry race and not enough for inters or wets later on. I mean, that cloud cover, you can already see it. It went from clear at the very beginning on lap 1 to now halfway, which looks to be almost fully overcast, and similar in terms of cloud cover in comparison to the Season 5 F1 running of this race, where it was just absolutely gloomy as all hell.
Oh my god. So, you know what I was mentioning about OTL having so many track limit warnings? I mentioned that a little bit ago. I just checked his race director. In the span of 7 laps, OTL has picked up 8 warnings in 7 laps. So he's averaging a track limit warning per lap in that stretch.
Well, Red Bull Academy has some work to do with people like Blue Goggy helping him stay out of trouble in the steward's room, and with OTL, their trouble will be staying within the track limits that they'll have to help him with. Something we have not mentioned in terms of us going through the field with drivers is Rapid Owen. How about Rapid Owen here? I want to talk about him. In his debut, it's not been the best of races in terms of pace, but he does a lot of leagues apparently. So, in terms of experience around here, maybe we'll just assume, to be fair to him, he's not got it right in terms of his pace tonight in comparison to Egg. However, I will say he has got it right on the ERS management, though, because he has saved up a lot of battery. And he will have more chances here in the Mercedes Academy because he is a reserve until the end of the Tier 1 season. So him making his Formula Endurance debut, you know, he didn't have the best qualifying spot in comparison to Egg, so he does have some excuses that he can pull there in terms of where he's at on the grid. But realistically, as long as he's battling for P6 here by the end and not overtaken by Dom or anyone else, that's the good part. Yellow flags, that's for the lap car of OTL.
Yep.
Race leaders in.
And speaking about with Rapid Owen, he may be sitting in 7th right now, but he is staying within the tow and the slipstream of Minico. Minico, an experienced Tier 1 driver, driving in that Mercedes. And the Academy assistant for the Mercedes Academy at this present time. So for Rapid Owen to stay with him for a good period of time, and even having battles with him, but it looks of it is he's going for around the outside, down the hangar straight, gets it done. Rapid Owen up to 6th.
And now in the background, both Alpines, they're the ones drooling it out on the hangar straight there. We've got Kipu ahead of Valk. OTL is in for AlphaTauri. Interestingly enough, Egg has went for a very maybe opportunistic strategy call if this works out. Soft tires. Look at the cloud cover. It is more. It's gonna rain soon. We know that. It's supposed to rain in this race. We've had Endurance probably be, I think, the tier with the highest rain percentage. We've ran 13 races as of today. Hold on. Minico. Down the inside, on the left side of the track, and he makes the move. He's got the upper edge on Rapid Owen, who picks up a 3-second now. I was just going to say how Formula Endurance has the highest percentage of rain races, it seems. Again, I need to cut in. Blonde up a place once again, retaking P2. Highest percentage of rain races. We have had Zandvoort last season, Portugal last season, Japan last season, and in this season, which will get rain at some point in Silverstone. That is nearly 33% of the races ran in Formula Endurance, with some rain in the event of the race. Fastest lap has been taken over. 9th place has been taken over by Valk on Kibu. They're having a little bit of fun dueling it out for the last point spots.
Well, I mean, they could do it out. They could do it out and have some fun because they literally don't have to worry about the guy not in the points because he is currently a lap down and now just picked up his 6th track limit penalty. Oh my word!
Egg is behind Jack by 2.6 seconds, but behind this battle by about 10 seconds, and behind the race leader by 16. Knight is obliterating all the battery he has left. However, Titan, Egg has commentated in RPL before, but you know a lot of the history about this guy. You should tell us a little bit about it as we go through the field. Now we're at 5th place here. We're going from the back to the front, and we're now at Egg covering him. Tell us about Egg with his RPL history.
Let's see. Trying to remember quite a bit.
I have it in front of me if you need it.
Remember quite a bit about with Egg. I do know about his history on when he first came into RPL. He was known as Enough Egg, all the way back in the first iteration of Formula 3, where he had some moments with where he had some moments with Salt, aka Flynn. He had a moment with Jack at one point. Um, but yeah, Egg is well, let's just say in regards to the Discord, he is
A
in a
character.
way probably a very no nonsense type of individual. He does like to play his practical jokes and his screwing around and stuff like that. But but in regards to on track, he is a very decent driver. He is a previous drivers champion. He won the season 10 Formula 2 championship. That was during F1 21 game cycle. Trying to remember which team he was. I think it was Dams or High Tech. I can't remember which one. I'll have to look again. I'll have to look
Carlin.
at it again. But
Season 10.
oh, Carlin. Okay.
Yeah.
I was close. So it was a Red Bull affiliated
Whoa!
car.
Alpine almost had a collision with both their drivers. Kipu had to go around the outside, but Valk gave her the squeeze right there. Not going to allow him to get past. On the last day of Women's International Month, she's getting very, very dicey.
Yeah, very, very true indeed. But yeah, well,
Egg.
like the previous champion.
Gave you some DMs to help out with.
He's a very unique driver. I will say that.
Yeah, he's quite the character. He's got one F1 win that comes back in season 5. He just set the fastest lap too. How about that? Catching Jack Miles up on the road. Season 5, that one win comes from, and he had 2 podiums that same season too. OTL has picked up a 3-second time penalty, as the 2 Alpines swap it. And you mentioned his F2 championship. You know what's interesting about that? He only has 6 F2 wins. In terms of our champions, that ranks second to last. The only other driver with less F2 wins but having a championship to their name, Oxtez, 5 F2 wins. Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Only 6 F2 wins.
No, but it is very overcast.
You're right. It's about to become the rain period. Another character in RPL, Jack Miles. He's definitely changed throughout the times of RPL. He was a part-time driver for the longest time. He's been here as a driver in Tier 1 since Season 4, and now in Season 10, he's racked up 3 wins. It took him 14 podiums before that first win, Jack Miles. And in FE, he's racking up quite the amount of wins. 3 of them. This is 3 FE wins versus a driver with little to no experience in this tier, and I think Jack Miles is pulling over to let him go because he realizes this is not his fight. But as it does get more overcast on the cloud cover, we'll have to see how Jack handles the heat here on the medium tires compared to the softs. Jack, though, in terms of podiums, he now moved up to the top 10 after that Zandvoort podium, and he also has the record here in Tier 1 for the most podiums with different teams, 8 of them. The only teams that are missing from that is Aston Martin and Haas. Jack Miles, quite the driver who could have had a win in seasons like Season 5, Season 6, Season 7, but it took him all the way till Season 8 Abu Dhabi, where you covered that in the last race of F1 22 that Jack got his first win. And Abu Dhabi seems to be the place where Jack has had a lot of good moments in RPL, whether it come from F2, where there was the closest ever finish that he won out on against another competitor back in Season 8 by literally 0.000. It was decided on a track limit penalty for Jack Miles to claim victory back in that race in F2 Season 8. Jack Miles, though, came up second in the FE Championship last season, just short. Trying to go for it this season full-time for McLaren. And the one other thing about him that we should make note of, he has 1 more podium all-time in Tier 2 than Owen. So he's the all-time podium leader. And, you know, we mentioned wins in terms of Tier 2. He does not have the most wins. Owen does. He's second to Owen in that list. But he beats Owen in the amount of F2 wins. Jack Miles, 18 for his credit. P5 in terms of that list. And as for F1.5, he's got quite a bit to his name there too. So both Alpines squawking around here for P9. I think they've realized their fight is with each other. And same with the Merc Academy cars with Rapid Owen and Minico. P6 now for Rapid Owen. Minico will probably drop further back if these two continue to battle because of the 5-second penalty applied. And here's Kipu snatching P9 on the teammate.
Looks like Minico all over the back of Rapido and trying to make him blink first into making a mistake, trying to take that P6 back. Now, bear in mind, even though Rapido is still ahead, is ahead and in the faster car, which Minico knows all too well. Bear in mind, Rapido has 2 track limit penalties to his name. Minico has a speeding penalty only, which means right now, currently by the penalties, Minico will take 6th place, but he's not willing to wait any longer. He goes down the inside in the left field and gets himself into 6th place again.
He doesn't want to just be net P6. He wants to get it on the road too, and he did just that. Someone else to mention here in terms of RPL drivers, as the rain will be coming very, very soon. FRC Knights. He's bounced around a few esports teams, and he's bounced around here in RPL. He does not have a win, as far as I'm aware, in any of the RPL tiers. However, in RPL Tier 2, he has 1 pole position, which he got with Aston Martin. Wow! Holy cow! That was amazing car control from the FRC driver for 3rd place. I don't know how he hung on to it, but Rapid Owen takes 6th. Minico almost tapped him there. We'll get back to this battle in just a moment. We want to mention FRC Knights with that 1 pole position. That came with Aston Martin. That's Aston Martin's only Tier 2 pole position. As for him, he did not see an RPL race at all after that because he crashed from the lead and did not come back for a while until the ending of Season 9 F1, which was the next Tier 2 season after his pole position for Aston Martin in Japan. He's bounced around a lot of teams, let alone within the Ferrari Academy, racing as a reserve, but if you want a driver who can get you a decent result and outperform a car, he seems to be the one that does it. Now, Minico is the one that does it for 6th place on the road once again. These 2 Academy teammates are swapping back and forth time after time, lap after lap.
Yeah, but unfortunately, that with their consistent battling, it gives Jack an even bigger buffer when eventually the rain will come into play, because about a lap and a half ago, Rapid Owen, when he was ahead of Minico, was about 22.4 seconds behind Jack. Now it is exceeded 24 seconds, so they're losing a lot of time to that front crew ahead.
Yeah, and it's now become a 3-car race for P3. 3 cars under a blanket, and Egg will be trying to get back up the field here. He was 16 seconds behind the race leader at one point in this event. 8 seconds now behind KVS, who is in control of this event, and is being caught by Blonde by a big, big margin because of the Ferrari drop-off on tire wear. It's almost a drag race here into Sector 2, but Egg has to back off here and wait another time. The interesting thing about Knights, though, is, to end off F122, he was a part of the Mercedes Academy. He stayed there, and he's now at the Ferrari Academy. OTL with another track limit penalty. He has racked up 24 seconds in this race. Be careful, you don't get disqualified for it.
Absolutely, and I was just checking the time splits between these guys with KVS and Blonde. KVS.
Titan, hold on a second.
In the lap,
we've got Jack closing in, and I think Egg is now going to make the overtake. They've both got no battery. Drag race into Sector 3 at Stowe. Jack's going to go for it, too, around the outside. Knights from 3rd to 4th, and it's about to become P5, but he just cuts Jack off. And now Jack off down the inside. Jack, can he do it? Can he pull it off? He's bumping him, and he cannot get P4. Sorry, Jack, not off. Jack, just Jack. I noticed that. Oops.
That's why I was laughing.
I figured. I heard that. Jack off.
First it was Tattoo. Now it's Jack. Now it's Jack off. What the heck?
Well, if I have to have something to say about the Alpine Academy again, there now with a different driver from their academy, Valk is up to P9. There's some more positives. Whoa! A little bit of a fake down the straight, and Jack goes for it, and he doesn't go off. Jack off. Jack is on for P4.
Dang it.
Jack on. He's Jack on.
Well, speaking of which, Blonde is caught right up to KVS.
Yeah. That Ferrari tire wear has really kicked in. And they've dropped off a frickin' cliff. Knights from P3 to P5, and it's about to become first to second. Can Blonde take back the lead of the race? Here he goes, trying to regain P1. He's up to P1 once again. However, does KVS get alongside come Stowe Corner? The answer is no. Blonde can keep him at bay. After Stowe, he's up to P1. And Egg continuing to keep Jack at bay here. He's on the racetrack.
What's more wild is that the last 4 laps that Blonde has done, well, now adding into the 5 laps, he's been producing high 29s, basically 29.7 to 29.9, while KVS in that same span was only doing around mid to high 30s.
Yeah, and it's crazy enough that KVS is still within DRS. I think the thing that's helpful for him is the fact that he's got some assist from better battery in comparison to our race leader. However, Blonde is about to catch his academy teammate and put him, I believe, a lap down now because of the pit stop cycles. Or, sorry, 2 laps down, excuse me. Because of the pit stop cycles and everything else. With that said, the good thing for Blonde here before the rain is if DRS does get disabled from this rain, as I did speak about it being after lap 35. It is after lap 35 now that the rain is going to come. The good thing for Blonde is if he can get DRS here before it gets disabled, that would be perfect from his academy teammate. However, you just have to time it perfect. Right now, he's keeping KVS at bay. KVS is not using any bit of the battery. However, here we go, down the straight, neck and neck between Jack and Egg for the time being, but Jack will take over P3. Jack is on the road, not off the road, to P3. Jack off.
Yeah, Jack currently racing hard and gets himself back into P3. As mentioned a few laps ago, he was down in P5. That's where he was at the start of the race. After those hards just could not fire up, but now with him onto the medium compound, they're really firing up for sure. And I was also just taking a peek at the position changes right now. Currently, at this moment, the biggest winner in regards to position gain is Minico, starting dead last, and he's in 6th and still hanging on pretty decently.
You know what is interesting about that too? Look at our race leader Blonde. I know there's been a lot of battling in this race, but to be fair, if we're going to consider the battling between Minico and Rapid Owen, we need to consider the battling for the race lead as well that has happened lap after lap. He's 36 seconds behind race leader Blonde. Interestingly enough, we've ran 37 laps in this race, so that means Minico is not losing over a second a lap in this race in comparison to the race leader when that car is over a second slower in race pace. So it's not like he sat here and just got these positions off of others having their misfortunes and troubles. He's also got them based on the pace, and considering he started from the back of the grid in last, basically, with a qualifying ban and is up to P6. He's my contender for driver of the day, and Egg is trying to make himself another contender for P3 on the road here on soft tires. If he's hung this out to perfection here, this will be great, but I think the soft tires will start to come undone very soon. The interesting thing about the Ferrari tire wear here that I want to mention, I think it's worse for KVS than Knights because Knights is on 18-lap hards. The only thing that's making it look worse for Knights is because he's on a different tire than the 2 in front of him, Jack on mediums, Egg on softs. And it's making it look worse because obviously the soft tires, the medium tires, those compounds, they're faster in a race. However, KVS here on mediums in comparison to hards also went on them 6 laps earlier than Blonde did, so that's why it's kicking in a lot worse for KVS in my honest, humble opinion, compared to Blonde, as the 2 Alpines, once again, just having a sensational battle here, back and forth, lap after lap. It's Kipu leading the Alpine teammates with P9 on the cards.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just checking the lap times in regards to the last lap that they've done. FRC Knights, who's on the hard compound tire, compared to KVS on the medium compound tire, they set basically identical laps last time around. Blonde about 0.2 faster. Just seeing Egg trying to look for a shot against Jack, but just can't seem to do it. And speaking about with those two, Jack and Egg, their last lap only separated with Jack being ahead by 0.04 of a second.
Here comes the rain. The rain is starting to fall on our screens. I was just going to say about Egg Titan, the interesting thing that he was doing right there, I don't think he was trying to go for a move on Jack, but what he was doing there as OTL was getting lapped, he was doing a little bit of dancing down the straight, a little bit of weaving. So I don't know if that was any displeasure from maybe not letting him go earlier on, or just a little hello. I don't know what that was, but he did give Jack DRS there to where Egg couldn't make the move. And as the rain starts to fall, take advantage of all the moves you can make with DRS now before it gets disabled in the last 12 laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking about when you're mentioning about with OTL, I just took a look at their fastest laps. OTL's fastest lap is currently 1.2 seconds slower than the second slowest car that had their fastest lap, and that was done by Kippu.
However, he's the driver.
Ooh.
What?
Knights just bumped into the back of
the
lead and Chapel, but Egg keeps the car together.
Titan, we need to focus on the lead. I don't know what happened. Blonde may have made a mistake, and KVS went for it. And Blonde is P1 as the lap ends, but that got very close between them. I know you were focusing on Knights and Egg. There was contact there, as you mentioned, but I was just going to mention one thing about OTL. It is faster than Shanghai's lap time, who is out of this race. Yeah, what happened for P3 there with Jack, Knights, and KVS there?
Well, I know Jack lost quite a bit of speed, and Egg was looking to try to saw possibly a sneaking of an overtake, but just couldn't get it done. But yeah, FRC Knights bumped into the back of Egg at Chapel, but Egg kept that car in good control. It was very good by him as well.
I think these conditions are starting to have an effect on these drivers, because that mishap from Blonde closed KVS right up there. And if you need anything to get the Ferrari closer because of the poor tire wear, well, this will do it. And the battery consumption as well, in the favor of KVS. So let's find out what happens here come the end of the race.
Yeah, very true indeed. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen here, as
especially tires
KVS
too.
Is still within DRS of Blonde for the lead, but not close enough to warrant for an attack. And they're still staying out this time. The DRS is not disabled, and the track's not getting wet enough yet for the inters to come into effect.
It will take a few laps, though.
Everyone else is staying out.
As always, I think that's the thing we noticed. It will take a few laps. I was just laughing a little bit ago because Miniko put in the Twitch chat, raining, to let us know. And he did that while still being ahead for P6 here in this battle. I just find that very funny. 39 seconds back from our race leader, though. Still keeping it very consistent in terms of his pace to Blonde. And his Academy teammate has a go around the outside. He's still going to have a look come corner exit, but Miniko squeezes him just to perfection to give him enough space to hang it around the outside still, but make sure that he backs off come the chicane as Valk up a place on Kippu. These two, doesn't matter if it's wet or dry, they'll battle it out.
Yeah, very true indeed. And I just took a peek at Egg's lap time over the last 2 laps, while with the rain coming in to the last full-blown dry lap. Egg 2 laps ago, 1.1 seconds slower, and the recent lap compared to lap 40, 1.5 seconds slower. So the rain is starting to have an effect on the track conditions, which means probably very soon, I'm probably going to say with about 8 to go, we could see some of these guys coming in to switch the inters.
Yeah, it will obviously take a little bit for drivers to lose a lot of lap time. They are going to lose lap time, but here's
Knights is bolting.
Yes, he is. He's going to bolt first of the guys in the top 5. Let's see if anybody follows. That will be interesting to see. I mean, the track is wet. Yes, the track is wet, but it's not enough to change compounds just yet. It has to get a little bit darker we'd have to basically lose the track in a way to go to inters for the entire grid. But Knights choosing to go first. A pit stop around here, 28 seconds, so he may fall behind Minico or Rapid Owen. But considering the lap time fall off in terms of the track right now, with rain just coming down for what, the third or fourth lap now, I don't think he'll be behind them. He'll be just ahead of him, and he is just ahead of him. So not enough for wet compound tires yet. It'd either have to be wets or inners. It'll be inners, though, I'm sure, for the rest of the way once they do all pit. But with that said, I just want to note, we still have the battle for the race lead, and with the rain falling down, it's going to take probably here. Hold on. I think KVS wants to lead the charge. He goes for it. Down the inside, and now Blonde is trying a switchback here. Knights with the penalty. Now, Blonde around the long way here. Not going to go for a lunge, but Knights hangs on for the lead. I was just going to mention here about the tires with changing to inters.
Jack is in.
Yeah, Jack is in. Egg is in too. I was just going to say we should be seeing it in a few laps here, and you can now see how much more wet the track is getting. That is what it's going to take to get the whole field in. Sorry, Titan, that's what I was trying to get to. Slowly but surely.
Blonde in the braking zone the car just got really nasty on him, but he's okay, but he did lose quite a bit of time. Meanwhile, Knights, by the way, in regards to when he was behind Egg, he gained about a second in that lap of his pit stop. I wonder if he's going to be getting just ahead of these two as they come out of turn one. Is he going to get them both? He gets Egg, but does not get Jack.
However, the issue for Knights is he has a penalty alongside his name here. And you could see how much more wet the track is now. I was just going to say that is what's going to get everybody in for inters before DRS gets disabled. And now, while DRS is still online, Knights slingshots past, takes over P3. The penalty applied, though, is going to mean Jack Miles is currently on the podium. And the lead is at stake. Blonde takes it. KVS down to P2. And here they come to the pit lane. You can pass in the pit lane under green flag conditions. KVS didn't want to go for it on Blonde. He could have took advantage, but he wanted to get a safe, slow speed into the pit lane. We'll see if any of these guys get jumped on track. There is potentially a chance if these inters ramp up fast enough, but considering a pit stop around here is 28 seconds, I don't think it'll happen. KVS and Blonde almost an equal pit stop to where they were inside of each other in the pit lane, and this is now gonna be for the battle for the lead. Knights takes over P3. Jack still not done. Jack trying the up and under with the cutback, couldn't do it, and we race out of the pit lane here with Kipu now having a time penalty. It's KVS in control over Blonde, and they have a sizable gap to P3. With the battling, I think they would have caught up a little bit more, maybe to under 5 seconds, but now the gap with those guys, it is 7.6. Siri Dom picks up a track limit penalty. He has got his second of the event. Kipu is finally in.
Yeah, Kipu, the last of the dry tire guys to go in. So this is going to cost him a bit of positioning. So he's probably going to be behind his teammate, Valkyrie, but by a bit longer gap, to be fair. Meanwhile, the battle between Jack, Knights, and Egg is still firing on all cylinders. But don't forget also the battle for that lead between KVS and Blonde. They're still at it. I have not seen the DRS disabled notification yet, so it's still active.
Here we go. Closing in. Blonde still having a chance to go for it, and he will take back the top spot of this race on lap 45 out of 52. Jack also doesn't want to sit behind Knights much longer. He has a car in between him and Egg with a penalty, which is good. That's what Jack needs to do, claiming that place. And Kipu, I don't know why, but he has went to the medium tires.
Is he nuts?
OTL is now on 35 seconds of penalties. He could be taking Beatnik's record of 48 seconds in a race for track limit penalties.
If Beatnik's watching, he'll probably be saying, "No, OTL, don't take my record. That's my pristine record."
We need that in the next set of context for RPL. I've already made 2 already. I've already made 2 that are scheduled. You know, it gives us a good time because everybody is all sprung out because of the wet conditions. To mention some things we've not mentioned already. We mentioned the RPL YouTube with out of context, RPL Slender. Everything is reorganized in a set of playlists. Therefore, you can find videos much easier. Every video, I believe, except for one, is put into a playlist on the RPL YouTube. So if you want to find old races, if you want to find highlights, whatever it may be, it's all put in certain playlists together, packed in certain areas to where you can find it so much more easier. I did that for a reason, for everybody to have a chance at finding what they want to find much easier. KVS is still having a go with DRS Online, but I just don't think that's going to matter at this point. Kippu finally goes to a set of rain tires. This time, not the dry tires that he would have wanted. He'll make an extra pit stop because of that. And he's now on 3 pit stops in comparison to everyone else's 2 because of that. The interesting thing is he comes out in between the leaders here. About the YouTube that I want to mention. 30 minutes of Monza Madness. That's what we had released not too long ago. I've got an old race highlights video that has been put together with new transitions, old race recaps, certain moments from certain races that get uploaded. Let us know your feedback on all that on the RPL YouTube. Now down the inside, NRM KVS collides with the leader. Blonde has been tagged from KVS. And that's a coming together I was not expecting, as they kept it clean the entire way through. Blonde now 5 seconds away from race leader KVS. Wow.
Dang.
He used all that battery, KVS, to go for it, and now he took full advantage of the race lead, including a collision.
Dang, that was very well there. Now Blonde on the back foot, having to catch back up and try to reclaim that, try to go for the lead again. I mean, if Blonde thinks he was treated unfairly by KVS, he could submit a ticket to get KVS in trouble and maybe get the win via post-race penalty, but anything is possible.
Oh, he's not happy. He's racing with a full head of steam. He's gone from 5.7 back to 5.3 now. He wants this win very badly, and I can't blame him after that collision. I don't know who was at fault. I think the contact model did have a big playing in that for making the incident look a lot worse, but KVS came off better, as we've seen. And now KVS has to just do himself a favor and just run. Just run away from Blonde. You know? That's all you can do. DRS, while that was happening, got disabled. So now, this battle with Egg and Knight on track for P4 will have an effect because of no DRS online. So now, it's all going to be down to your battery.
Yeah, which Knights currently does not have much of. He has only 11%, while Egg does have a little bit more on him. But bear in mind, Knights still has that penalty applied to him.
Yes, he does. And here comes Egg with a lot of momentum. Had a chance to go on the inside, and they were about to be neck and neck if he had just bumped him, but he didn't. He thought better of it, backing out. And we were mentioning the RPL YouTube. Yeah, a lot of things have been put together in a certain way. You could go to old race recaps and see certain moments from certain races that have been uploaded on the coming race weekends. We've got Singapore this weekend, where the first ever Tier 1 all Academy podium happened. And now, Knights, all out of shape there, defending from Egg. However, Egg is still going to have a go around the outside, neck and neck into Stowe for just a moment. It's Egg getting the advantage, but they touch!
Oh, baby!
They touch a lot, and now they're going to be wheel to wheel here in the chicane. Egg getting out ahead, Knights on the inside line, still hanging in there, and it is Egg who will clear Knights. Yellow flags, that's for the lap car.
Which one, OTL or Kippu? Because Kippu is lap 2.
That was for OTL, I believe. He's just behind Minico and Rapid Owen. And you got a point. I didn't realize Kippy went a full lap down from that that skirmish with dry tires when he didn't mean to.
I'm thinking maybe he was supposed to go on to the inters, but the game was like, nah, here's some mediums for you. Enjoy the mediums on a wet track.
Yeah, right. Well, Cam did that in Spa a couple weeks ago, and it didn't work out for him.
Yep.
The difference is, though, Kip was going to score points with that being said. Yeah.
Unless there's a sudden DNF.
Well, yeah, that's true. Even if he does DNF, if it is on lap 52 out of 52, he will beat OTL. I will say, Blonde has just caught up a full second on KVS, and I want to mention the last of the drivers we've not ran through the field with in just a moment once this Knights and Egg battle dies down. Egg using overtake to defend, Knights using overtake below 10% in the battery to attack, and Egg protects that place for now. 3.7 the gap. He is just absolutely catching up to KVS, and he is fuming, I'm sure, with 3 laps to go. If he can pull off this miraculous comeback on track to get to KVS, that would be incredible. And, you know, I know Ferrari has their tire wear die down and absolutely fall off a cliff, but we're going to be seeing that with the wets, the inters now on a wet track, crazy enough. Knights and Egg once again are dueling it out. And at turn 3, Knights lunges, locks the rears, goes too deep, and that would have been a miraculous move if he could have pulled it off, but he just didn't.
Yeah, Knights just a bit too ambitious. He wanted to go for the shot, but just couldn't get it done and get it to happen. Valk in the penalty box with a second, well, I believe a second penalty for her.
Yep.
But Knights really putting on the desperation to try to get past Egg for the 4th place spot, but just couldn't seem to get done. And as you were mentioning about with Blonde catching KVS, the last lap, Blonde 1.5 seconds gain on KVS. So if he pulls it out even higher over the next lap or two, I think we are gonna see a last lap brawl between KVS and Blonde.
I think it'll become the last sector if everything gets timed out perfect here. I think the other thing is that we need to note and pay attention to is if he'll get penalized in the steward's office, pending what Red Bull choose to submit. Red Bull and Ferrari colliding once again. Knights with yet another time penalty down the straight here. He is behind Egg. He's now alongside Egg. He's now going for it on Egg, trying to hold on, can't hold on. He's still using the overtake. Now he'll go down the inside and have a peek, but he won't get the move done. 2 laps to go, and now Blonde has really cut the gap down to where he'll only have to gain here in order to get to him in the last sector. A total of 1.3 throughout these last 6 sectors. You know, Titan, catching's one thing, passing is another. The last of these guys that I want to talk about in terms of going through the field, KVS had joined RPL in Season 5 F1. You know, he raced a Tier 2 race last season for the first time. He's had some magic here since then, though. 2 Tier 1 podiums now, 1 earlier this weekend. And in terms of FE in itself, 1 FE victory, 4 FE podiums. And if he ends off with the race victory here, KVS, or P2, I believe he will take the championship lead over Gecko. With Blonde, the last one to go through in terms of our drivers that we've not mentioned today. He is less than 2 seconds behind the race leader, trying to use all that battery now, while KVS is defending that battery and saving it. Blonde, 9 F2 wins, 5 Tier 2 wins. That last F2 win, or win in all tiers, comes from Imola, Season 17, F2. We're now seeing a move from Knights around the outside. He cannot pull it off, so he'll try the inside here, Daniel Ricciardo style. Will he pull it off, though? He's made Egg go the long way around, and a nice move at that from Knights with a nice little dummy. Last lap, 1.8's the gap, and with Blonde, his championship in RPL, his only one, comes from Tier 2. That's all the way back in what was the Season 6 running. 1.7 now. He's not close enough to get the victory on track. He's going to need a last lap mishap from KVS.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, literally, Blonde, the last 2 laps, gained about 1.1, 1.2 seconds each in those last 2 laps. So, unfortunately, Blonde not going to be close enough to go for and try to get the win from Blonde. Blonde couldn't get the win from KVS, but I mean, Red Bull could file a ticket to get that win taken away from KVS, and could possibly get the win. But we'll have to wait and see what will happen in that regard. But coming down the hangar straight for the final time, KVS looking for another win in FE on the track.
Ferrari is trying to claim their 4th victory here in FE. And they've just got a few more corners with NRM KVS. He will be seeing the steward's office, but the question is, will it be a penalty? Provisionally, NRM KVS wins the British Grand Prix here in Formula Endurance, taking a 2nd RPL win. Blonde comes home 2nd. Kipu's crashed. No, he's left a session. He had a glitch because of it. Blonde P2 to claim his 2nd FE podium. And Jack, with this podium, takes his 6th in the tier. Knights crossed the line but couldn't do it. Egg will get his best FE finish. And does it for Mercedes.
We gotta fight for 6.
We do. The fighting is not done. P5 is Knights. P6 here could be Minico after serving the 5-second penalty. Down the inside, late on the brakes, a late lunge, and can he pull it off in the last lap? Yes, he can. Dive bomb to perfection from Minico. Bravo. Williams have never had a top 6 in this tier, but Minico, for the 2nd time for a team, will claim their best finish. It was first AlphaTauri, now Williams with a P6 best finish. Rapid Owen on debut comes home 7th. Dom got a penalty in the last lap and last sector to be P8. Valk is P9. And once the glitches and steward report comes through, Kipu will be awarded with P10. The last point spot. Alpine saw P9 with Valk. And OTL on debut gets a disastrous race over.
Yeah, but to be fair, even with that little glitch thing that affected Kipu, he is still going to be keeping P10 because he was a lap down, but OTL was 2 laps down.
We'll have to find out what happens here in terms of the steward report for the race victory. KVS currently has it provisionally, winning the British Grand Prix over home fellow Blonde and Jack Miles. But Jack Miles will help out McLaren here, try to get another Constructors' Championship, moving them up the order on the Constructors' table with his good result, because it was only one car for McLaren that finished. In terms of him, Jack Miles, 6 podiums for this tier, Blonde 2, and KVS taking podium number 5 as of the current moment. A 2nd win from him. Here are your final results. Egg ended up with the fastest lap, so that's a bonus point for Mercedes, who now have 19 points on the day with that. Minico getting Williams some points. Haas with Dom get their first points of the season, making it Alfa Romeo the only FE team without any points so far this season. You see the penalties from the drivers. OTL picked up 12 different penalties. From track limits, it was a total of 38 seconds. Here are your final results here from the race in itself. We lost Pinarello, Invade, and Shanghai. Kipu will not have a DNF as things end because he left the session early, rage quitting after the event was over. So the game glitched him and said that he DNF'd. He did not DNF. He finished. Just a lap down. So I think my driver of the day has to go to Minico, P6 in the Williams. It's just impressive stuff once again from the Canadian driver to get another team their best finish. It's Williams with a P6 result. Sensational stuff from Minico. My driver of the day is him. If you want my final thoughts on the race before we end off, Titan, I just want to say this tier does not get enough credit. You know, I think in terms of the lack of care from it from other admins besides Jack and a few others, it's really unfortunate. But the drivers who choose to say, I don't want to suffer with a 100% race, are really missing out because we had battles all over. It just seems like with FE, you need the right tracks in order to have that. And next week we're going to a track that not everyone likes in France, but Tier 2, even with a wet race, saw an amazing event just yesterday, and even Tier 1, I think it had a top 3 race of the season in France with battles all over. So realistically, as long as it's the right track, FE provides some of the best racing we see for a 100% tier for sure.
I agree completely, and I'm also gonna be agreeing with you on your choice for driver today. I'm also gonna give it to Minico as well. I mean, literally, he kept it he kept cool, he kept collective, and he was having some really great battles with a lot of guys on the field. And to literally, he started last second pull in for the Williams team and putting it in P6. Very, very thrilling moment for him. So, hands down, I'm definitely giving the driver today to Minico in my opinion as well.
I'm really surprised not a lot of other drivers went with the same strategy call that NRM KVS went with by going to the same compound that you ran your first stint on mediums. The top 4 for the longest time, with Jack Miles being P5, had a really big chance to do just that, and they may have costed themselves a chance at victory against Blonde, which KVS provisionally had, and we can see come midweek if he keeps it in the storage room. Well, either way, another FE race ends, and it's Ferrari on top this time for the 4th time in the tier. Every team that's won has 4 more wins. We only have 3 teams that have won in this tier. And now, let's find out what else happens here come midweek with the Stewards Report for all tiers. For all tiers next week, here is where we are at, folks, for the events. Tier 2 is starting off the weekend in Monza, the first race in April. We have Singapore for Formula 1 right after that as well. And then Formula Endurance. Next week, races in France. From your commentary team, Ryan Searles, RPL Titan Iron, we sign off. We hope you have a good one, and we hope you tune in next time for RPL.